Your Excellency, the President of Uganda and Chairman of the IPOD Summit, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, my fellow leaders, presidents of the IPOD's participating parties, all the delegations from the 6 sister parties, I stand here to present a few views from the FDC. In 2009, we became part of the founders of IPOD. And our being here today underlines the fact that we as the FDC remain committed to dialogue. The dialogue that we envisage from this forum is meaningful dialogue. We envisage dialogue with respect for each other. We envisage dialogue where resolutions of the IPOD Summit are implemented. We, in the opposition, have a responsibility to the peace and security of this country in the way we play our politics. But to a greater extent, Mr. Chairman of the IPOD Summit, it is you and the ruling party that has a greater responsibility to Ugandans. The elections in this country are around the corner. It is our expectation that you will lead the way in ensuring a peaceful election. I speak from a position of a participant. In fact, I was your political rival, Mr. President, as you remember. I went through hell during that election. And I do not like to see my successors going through such a situation. Secondly, Mr. President, even as we talk about dialogue, there is a dire need for us to reconcile this nation. Our country is broken apart on tribal, religious, and political lines. And we'll just be making a fun of ourselves, my dear friends, if we kept dialoguing without emphasizing reconciliation in this country. And reconciliation can take different forms. I speak today and do understand that there are a lot of people languishing in prisons. Some of them have waited for justice to be dispensed, and this justice is being delayed.
Thank you, thank you. If you can try to summarize.
Yes, I am going to summarize. My appeal to you, Mr. Chairman, is to exercise clemency. I would like to appeal to you, Your Excellency, that you exercise the prerogative of mercy, even for those who may be found at fault, and these should just merely be for the sake of not living in the past, but progressing this country forward. Finally, as I sit down, Your Excellency, you are aware that in an election, there are rules. And those rules, as the FDC, we will adhere to the letter.
Thank you.
We have candidates who will be traversing the country. And it's my expectation that the harassment that we normally face from the military and the police remains history, and that we may have a peaceful election.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
President
We
FDC.
will always be one Uganda, one people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. May we receive Honorable Asman Basaliwa, President Jema. As PPP prepares to conclude the remarks, just in 2-3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, the Master of Ceremonies, my colleague, Chairperson of IPOD Summit and President of Uganda, my colleagues, fellow party leaders, the Right Honourable Speaker, the Parliament of Uganda, Anita Annette Among Magogo, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Jema Party is one of the founder members of IPOD. In fact, if I recall, we were in this same place here in Kololo when we signed the first IPOD instruments. I am here to assure everybody still committed to IPOD, and Jema will remain an active participant of IPOD. We believe that the challenges afflicting this nation can be comprehensively addressed through dialogue, through discussion, through consensus. And that is what we believe in as a party, and those are the values we bring to IPOD. We want an IPOD, Mr. Chairman, that is inclusive, and we should ensure and find all ways to make this IPOD process inclusive and have ways of bringing everybody under the umbrella of IPOD for the good of this country. Mr. President, the last time I addressed an IPOD meeting was in 2018 in Munyonyo, and I did emphasize the idea of rule of law, constitutionalism, democracy, and good governance. I am glad that my colleagues have highlighted some of them. One of the challenges, Mr. President,
As you conclude,
as I conclude, one of the challenges we are facing as a country is increasing episodes of impunity in some spheres of life. Inexplicable arrests, inexplicable detentions, people being on remand for years. And Mr. President, you remember that time, I gave you an example of many Muslim sheikhs, Sheikh Wanjala, Sheikh Wasigu, who have been on remand for now 15 years. They cannot receive justice. But that's just one example. There are really many others. And we agreed that you cannot have a criminal justice system where people are arrested and investigations come later. It's a mockery of justice. So I want us as IPOD, Mr. President, to begin discussing and squarely engaging those ideas for the good of our country. I thank you very much, and I bring warm greetings once again from the Justice Forum.
Thank you. May we receive the Chairman, President of PPP, Mr. Saddam.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and Chairman IPOD, my fellow leaders, Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, our party is anchored on four values. One is reconciliation, one is non-confrontational, one is non-violence, and the fourth one is dialogue. It is because of those core values that we are committed to dialogue as a party. I can testify to you that the time I have been in politics, now it is 30 years, I have not appeared at police for any reason. For any reason. Why? Because of that approach. Even in the last election, where we managed to take a member of parliament to parliament. There is no single member of People's Progressive Party who was arrested. Why? Because of that approach we are preaching to our members. And it is that we need to teach to the people of Uganda. That you can disagree. And this is what I always tell my fellow leaders in the party. That when you are addressing somebody, whether president, whether a president of another party, bear in mind that the person you are addressing, who you are criticizing, his wife referred to him as a husband. His children refer to him as a dad. Once you bear that in mind, then you will sieve your language to make sure that even when you have disagreed with me, or with the president, or with the speaker, you will not antagonize with that expanded family.
Thank you.
If we can adopt that, then this country shall be peaceful. Let me wind up. When we are in the summit meeting, Mr. President, you alluded to the cycle of our history. But I want to say this, that at one point in time, every time those who are in the opposition have worked in the same government at one point in time. And when they disagree with those in government, then they come in the opposition. Because they have served in the government, as they take credit for what went right during their time in that government, even when they disagree, they should take responsibility for what went wrong when they are serving in the same government.
Thank you.
It is the very reason why we need to dialogue, and nobody should give reason or point fingers to apportion all blames to one party, to one individual. We are all responsible for what has gone wrong, and we must be responsible to correct it.
Thank you.
For God and my country. Thank you.
Your Excellency and members, may we give a better round of applause to all the presidents for their remarks. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, I prepare to invite you to give your speech and closing remarks. Allow me to recognize senior government officials in this meeting. We have the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, who is also the second National Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Movement Party. Mr. President, we have also been joined by the Chairman of the Electoral Commission, who is none other than His Lordship, Mr. Bia Mukama. Thank you so much for joining us. The National Resistance Movement Party came for this important summit with members of the Central Executive Committee. I just would like to introduce them only. The rest of the senior party members bear with me. I'm only introducing members of the Central Executive Committee of NRM. We have, yes, time just in a few minutes. I have to. I leave it. Okay. But I recognize my members from the Central Executive Committee, and I also wanted to introduce members of the senior leadership of all other parties. Now that you have said no, all of you are most welcome. Mr. President, it is now my honor to invite you to give your remarks and to close the summit. And after the closure, we shall have group photos. We shall have photos in the groups of delegations, and all the presidents of the various political parties will be seated with the chairman of the summit, as the various political groups will stand behind the presidents for group photos. Together with the diplomatic missions and members who are here and IPOD Secretariat, we shall be mentioning which group will take the next photo one after the other. Mr. President, thank you.
The presidents of the political parties which are members of IPOD, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, all the members of the delegations which are here. When I met the presidents quietly there, I just mentioned 2 points to them, or maybe 3 points. The first point is that I have been a close observer or a participant for the last 65 years as far as the politics of Uganda is concerned. I told them that I joined the DP in 1960. And I was a very active youth leader of DP. Then I joined UPC for 5 months. In 1970, but by 1965, we had started forming study groups in the universities, which were the precursors of what is now NRM. Now, in all that time, my observations are 2. Number 1 is that politics must be like medicine. A political leader should be like a doctor. A doctor looking at patients. And this doctor will only help those patients if he makes a correct diagnosis of what the patients are suffering from. If he makes a wrong diagnosis and makes a wrong prescription, the patients will not get cured. They may even die. When it comes to society, it is the same process. You either identify the problems of the society correctly and apply correct answers, or you will not give them a solution. And that's why the NRM has identified the 4 principles which we keep talking about: patriotism, love Uganda. Why? Because you need it for your own good. Secondly, Pan-Africanism, love Africa. Why? Because you need it for your own good. I don't have time to go into the details, but we have explained this elsewhere. Thirdly, socio-economic transformation. We cannot go on with the pre-capitalist societies, traditional societies, and we think that we shall manage to survive in the future. And finally, democracy. We think with these 4, we shall succeed, and we have been able to move, as we have seen. In the last 40 years almost, the NRM has been able to revive the economy of Uganda, and although we have still problems, but we are much stronger than we had ever been before. So that's the number 1. Correct understanding of the society. But secondly, if you have a different understanding, at least don't be violent. Don't use violence. Don't use subversion. Like the members here were saying, yes, they have got their different points of view, but let them express them peacefully, and then we see whether we agree or disagree. Now, when you have got a right understanding and you act right, then things will move. The country will be peaceful. But even if you have got a wrong understanding but you are not violent. You don't act wrongly. Yes, you will make mistakes, but the country will remain stable, and in the future, those mistakes will be understood and corrected. Now, the disaster in Africa is that people have got wrong understanding, but also use wrong methods. They are wrong on all accounts. They don't understand correctly, and they act wrongly, using wrong tactics, violence, subversion, cheating. This is the crisis you get in these countries. This is why Uganda here was in chaos. I don't have time to go into all that. And IPOD is not a center for parties try to justify themselves. We shall have time for that. But because of all those mistakes, that's why you get chaos in Africa. Because even if you make a mistake, but if the country remains peaceful, in the future it will be corrected, and you will have where to start from. But when you are wrong understanding, wrong methods, that's how you get this total breakdown like we have seen in so many of the countries. Now coming to my son, Jimmy, about the teachers, I don't want to be, I'm chairperson of the airport, I don't want to go into that debate. But it could be why UPC had problems, because they don't prioritize well. They try to do this, then the other way. The teachers, if we have money, we'd pay all of them well at the very beginning. But if we don't have enough money, why don't we start with the ones that are fewer, but also are very much required the stage where we are? Because you see, we had a problem in Soloti Flying School. It was about to close because of the wrong thinking of, if we all don't get the same, nobody should get. Now, in Soloti Flying School, we needed most pilots and engineers of the aircrafts. But they didn't have money to pay all of them well. So, the school was about to close. When I went there, I found out that a pilot in a private airline gets 25 million shillings. A pilot gets 25 million shillings. Now here in Soloti Flying School, they were trying to pay a pilot 1 million, because that's what they could afford. And also pay the secretary, the typist, the same amount of money, pay the cleaner, pay what, wanting to pay everybody. Then I said, but you people, the one we need most badly are pilots and engineers. The secretaries can be paid well later. If you have got money to pay all of them well, good. But if you don't have, what do you do? Should the flying school close? Because either we all get or nobody gets. That logic is not correct. We freedom fighters, we always prioritize. Kamukamugo echi, akwati mpola akola chi, bugubugusichi, achera chair is what? One by one.
Achela chelo chero monoporo.
apoyo matendo.
One by one makes a bundle.
Yes. So, when I advised them, they agreed to pay the pilots well. And there are not very many, because the pilots were few. And then the engineers. Now, the other people, the cleaners, the what, those can come later. But now they are trying, we are all working in Solid Flying School, we must all get equal. Yes, but we need pilots more than the cleaners. So that now that we are repairing the economy, we need engineers on the roads. We need doctors, very badly. We need chemists. Unfortunately, the scientists are not so many. They are not so many. So we can pay them, and then later we shall add on the other group. But I didn't want to go into that debate because we came here for unity, not for arguing. So, with these few words, I want to thank the iPod for having trusted us, NRM, for the last 5 years with the leadership. I now peacefully hand over to Mao.
Mr. President, we have to give you the flag to hand over to Chairman Mao. Officially, the flag for iPod. If we can get the flag for iPod, so that it's handed over to Chairman Mao.
Very good.
The flag, the flag. There shall be other formal handovers that will follow with the Secretary Generals and other members of IPOD. We agreed that this leadership of the positions is rotational. After DP, it will be another political party. As the NRM hands over to DP, may we all rise and give a big round of applause to the national chairman of NRM for chairing IPOD for a very long time. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for handing over. We shall remain standing for the anthems, and after anthems, we shall take few group photos with the national chairman. Thank you so much.